Hi, I'm Dr. Donald DeFabio, and welcome to the Mayor's Roundtable, who's gone on location today. So it's a U-shaped table because we're at the Rotary Club's meeting. So, Mayor, we're our guests today. We're on the road.
On the road, Doc, and welcome.
Thank you very much. Welcome to the Rotary for having us here. And this is one of the objectives for 2017, is to not only get the information about the community out to the public, but to get you out to the public as well. So we're welcome to, hoping other organizations and businesses and people in town will invite us to host the Mayor's Roundtable. So give us a call if you're interested. Now, Mayor, before we have lunch, we got to get through our meeting. And then the Rotary is going to also has some awards and presentations we're going to cover today as well. So it's the end of the year. It's December 2016. A lot happens this year, but we really have to look towards next year, don't we?
That's correct, Doc. We've had a couple of our sessions where we've kind of recapped some things, but based upon what's occurred recently in the Planning Board, 2017 is going to be an extremely exciting year for Berkeley Heights.
Well, that's good.
A lot of what has been worked on for the last 3 or 4 years and worked on very hard by our elected officials and by individuals that are employees and our administrators. They're starting to come to fruition, and I think it's going to be a very busy 2017.
So in terms of breaking ground on some of the redevelopment things, in terms of some of the OPA requests, and in terms of some of the affordable housing things, all of the above? Can you give us a little more detail?
All of the above, Doc. And the affordable housing issue, which raises its ugly head every time we have a discussion, is also tied in, obviously, to our redevelopment, and we are under a court order to move with haste with respect to doing some of that. So it all ties in, and it's kind of put everything on the fast track. Our planning board recently recommended that, well, they did 2 things last week. One had to do with the Locust property, where it was accepted by the planning board, and will be coming back to the township for final, and that will be done on the 20th.
And then it goes back to planning and zoning.
Then we're done. Then we're done. Okay, and we're ready to roll. So, and that's important to us because it's providing age over 55 housing, and that's one of the issues then that is going to come back. Once it comes back to the planning board, it'll be brought back by the developer, saying that they're ready to go. All right. They could be breaking ground. Absolutely. They could be breaking ground sometime, hopefully in the spring, if not sooner.
About the affordable housing for the 55 and older, how do people get access to that, and when will they have access to that? Let's say I do fit into that demographic.
So do I, Doc.
When can I apply? Seriously, how does it work?
Well, what will happen, and quite simply, is I'm sure all these developers have done all the demographic studies they need to do. They know there's a market for it, and once the word gets out that this is being built, they're very confident that this is going to be a big hit for them, and I think it's going to be a great thing for the town. Our planning board, our beautification committee, we've held them to some extremely strident standards, and I trust that they will, they'll move forward accordingly. At the same time, last Wednesday night, our township planner, Mike Mistretta, appeared before the planning board to ask the planning board their position and to review the properties located at King's, the theater, and what was going to be the hotel, the first original hotel up near Delicious Heights, have that declared redevelopment, non-condemnation redevelopment. And at that point in time, Mr. Mistretta, whose obligation it is to make a presentation to reference the law on non-condemnation redevelopment and make his case that, in fact, those properties do comply. And the planning board agreed, and that's coming back to the council for next week's meeting. There will be It will be on the docket, so to speak, and there will be an ordinance presented that will then be voted on, okay, in the early January, okay, and then we'll move from that. So
that's going to be a combination of business, affordable housing, and regular housing, or how's it going to break out?
Okay, let's break it down. Good question, Doc. The theater will be 20 residential units. I believe 4 of them will be duplex.
Okay.
We will get our percentage with respect to affordable housing, so we'll get maybe 3 units out of that, ballpark 3 to 4 units out of that. And at the back, if you can envision the theater, and the back is a big white wall right now, okay, that will be retail. Two separate 2,000 square foot. And at the same time, in conjunction with the Kings being redeveloped, we're going to try and get a boulevard look running down Sherman Avenue. So, so all of this, again, will be coming in front of the planning board, in the year to come, in 2017. So it'll be a busy year for everybody. And we're happy, obviously, and someone like the Rotary, and there are many individuals here who represent various businesses in the area. We're bringing more people downtown, which is great.
The Winter Walk was a huge success, huge success.
For the second year in a row, and many people came up and said, as good as last year was, this was
over the top.
Over the top.
Yeah, over the top.
And various individuals came from towns that are 30, 40, 50 miles away. So,
isn't that the whole point of Berkeley Heights, is to be known locally, to support our citizens, but also for people out of town to come and trade here and be here?
That's correct. And I think another selling point of the Winter Walk is we had it at Peppertown Park. We kind of refocused everything at Peppertown Park because, as you know, we are beginning to take a hard look at Peppertown Park, and we'd like to maybe transform that. We've got a committee that has just been put together, and that will be formally acknowledged by the council at the next meeting. Actually, it already has been, but there's one more slight thing we need to do with it. But these are, again, all volunteers.
Something else moving forward.
Yeah, all volunteers, and it's not an inexpensive venture, but everyone's excited, and so we're moving forward. So that kind of became the focus this year, and we're going to tweak the Winter Walk for next year, and we've got a lot of people with a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of comments, so everything's been good.
That's great. Well, it's nice to see all these things happening, and the downtown seems to get the beautification committee, the feel of the lantern lights, and the sidewalks is really starting to tie together.
Right.
So that's a shout out to them, because I know they have a vision for that whole area as well.
It is, and we've managed, with respect to the Locust property, even though that is not, quote, downtown, okay, as we see it, they've agreed to adhere to the standards that we're setting for downtown.
Perfect.
Which is good. And with the Kings development, could tie in very hopefully with what we're trying to do to Peppertown Park, because some of the discussions with the developers have been developing more of an access from Kings to the train station, which helps them, because I mean, part of what they have to sell there is proximity to the transit line.
Exactly.
For young kids or couples that don't necessarily want to live in a in a normal residential home setting. So we're very, very excited about that, and we've got a few more to go. But we're
so when's the Salt Dome going to get moved? Do we know yet?
Well, the Salt Dome is maybe the first shovel in the ground. Okay, that is going to be handled a little differently. We are going
already a change.
Well, no, a little differently than the rest of the construction at the new town hall. We're going to go to bond hopefully in January.
All right.
Okay. We're tentatively looking at a bond in the area of $28 million. That's a conservative figure, meaning that we have placed, been conservative as to our numbers so that we don't get caught. There's a very, very strong possibility that those numbers could shrink.
Okay, great.
But what we're going to do is, once the bond is passed, now once that we have, and we've engaged bond counsel, and once it is passed, then we're able to do some spending under the bond. Okay, and at that point in time, we will formally engage our architect, who essentially has done a lot of the overall scheming already. So what he'll have to do then, so he doesn't have to reinvent the wheel, he'll be coming back and now fine-tuning everything. At that point in time, we can now fund the salt dome.
Got it.
So what we'll do is we will remove the current salt dome because that is currently on property that a portion of the township new building will be on, and then hopefully we'll get a shovel into the ground. And that all depends on the weather, obviously. You know, in a perfect world, you could do it, you know, within a month or two, but it's more likely an early spring venture. Right. And that's being handled strictly by Mr. Mistretta, who is our town planner.
Good.
So we're
and Locust Valley could be that soon too, you think?
I think Locust could. I mean, once once an individual's got the approvals, that's his money sitting there. So it makes sense that he's going to get out and move quickly.
I have no idea how long construction on something that would take. So
we don't either. They've done some preliminary work on the site, but they're going to obviously have to do a lot of other work. But these are individuals that make their living doing this, so I'm sure they've got it all planned out.
So looking forward, Locust, a lot of planning board meetings coming down. The redevelopment starting with the Salt Dome and excuse me, the municipal grounds. What else do we have to look forward for in 17?
Well, we've had a couple of committees working very closely with both the library and with Little Flower, because as everybody remembers, this all began 4 or 5 years ago with Little Flower approaching the town, given their particular concerns, knowing what our concerns were as to space. There was a commonality of interest. And so that's how this whole thing started. And in a familiar sense, it was known as the swap. Okay, somebody in town coined the phrase, so it took on a life of its own. But that is still, that is really a driving force to all of this. Not that we cannot have the township building, library, police department without it. But once we complete that, which I believe will be done also, hopefully within the first 6 months, in other words, completing the agreement, then we will be able to look at the property up at the current school, up on Hamilton. When we take possession of that, and now we're talking then about engaging developers who will develop that property. And that will be a significant offset to the 28 or whatever number we come up with from a bond standpoint. So, we're trying to keep taxes, in a controlled fashion, right? And we've got to do that. And fortunately, we're still operating under the constraints, fortunately, with respect to the spending, the 2%, and so on and so forth. Along those lines, we're right in the middle. Mr. Basicolo is here today. He's right in the middle together with our CFO. Mike's here. Right? Mike's our chief's here. Nobody's working. They're all here.
They're all here. Well, you're here. Yeah, well, so of course they're going to be here.
So, but we've got a budget coming up, and that's scheduled for early February, if I'm not mistaken. I'm getting a nod from back there, so I'm correct. And we've changed our approach to budgeting, and we've basically said to those people that know exactly what they need and don't need, you put it together and you come to us and you convince us. But you go through Mike and John, and that's been, so far, it's been successful.
Well, good.
Yeah, and so hopefully we can deal with that, and so we're ready to go.
So I think there's going to be a lot of activity in the planning board this year.
It is. So those who want the excitement of a planning board meeting, they're all welcome to show up.
I think that's a good idea.
Only because there'll be some level of interest. It won't be quite as dry as many people assume a planning board is, because everything that's going to be done more than likely is going to be towards moving this town in a real positive direction.
Well, that is the objective.
Correct.
Now, the planning board meeting, is the schedule set for 2017 off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, I know it's been set. Off the top of my head, I don't know what it is.
Okay, well, that's a good opportunity for the citizens to call the town hall and find out. Okay?
Yeah, and I remind citizens that the planning board, the public also has a say at the planning board. Okay, it's not just at the town meetings. They have every right to step up and voice their concerns, and we encourage that. I would say that our reorganization meeting is January 1. It's a Sunday. I believe it's been rescheduled at 1 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken. What we do then, it's ceremonial nature. I also want to say thank you to two of our council people who are leaving, Ed DeLee and Tom Perrone. Okay. And we have 2 new people coming on, Manny Cuoto and Pete Bavoso. I want to congratulate both Tommy and Eddie for, for the time, a lot of service, and they've been, and I'm sure they'll continue to, to be interested in the town and be involved. And I think everyone should, if they see them, should thank them, because it's a lot of work, and I want to thank both of them. So, those who wish to join us on January 1 are more than welcome. It is ceremonial, but we are passing some things, okay? and we'll be swearing in the new council people. So it'll be a nice day.
Well, it'll be fun. It'll be a fun time to turn out. 1 o'clock, City Hall on January
1 o'clock.
1. All ones.
All ones, and
Except for the year.
except for the year, and they keep turning over.
Yeah, I know that. I know that. So, Mayor, again, we're the host of the Berkeley Heights Rotary, one of the strongest civic clubs, if not the strongest in Berkeley Heights. So, we're going to transition a little bit. We're going to experience one of their meetings, and they have some interesting information to share with us about how they serve the community. Any other thoughts for 2017 before we transition to lunch?
You got to talk about the Ducks.
Oh, well, yeah.
Right? Everybody's got to talk about the Ducks.
I think that's going to be the Rotary's job, but the Rubber Duckies are
Rubber Duckies a big one.
A great fundraiser, and they're going to let us know where all that money goes. If we start talking about that, then we might not get it as accurate as it should be, but it's a great fundraiser. They support the Boy Scouts, they support the town, but they also do a lot of other cool stuff. So we're going to take a moment to reset the set for the Rotary Club, and then we're going to be there for their meeting with them. I'm Dr. Donald DeFabio with Mayor Robert Woodruff. It's the Mayor's Roundtable on location.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Linda Salzville is the president of the Rotary. Linda, thank you for inviting the mayor and I down to your meeting. It's really exciting to find out what the Rotary does both locally as well as internationally. How can people get more involved with the Rotary?
People can become more involved by simply coming to a meeting and seeing what we do, what we talk about, taking a look at the Rotary International website, and seeing all the things that Rotary do. They have a lovely website. See all the things Rotary does. Lovely website. You can Google Rotary, and you will get things from around the world that come up. It's a very exciting service club. Service above self is our motto, and that's what we believe in.
And it seems that it's also a very hands-on type of club.
Every club is different and unique. Our club is very hands-on. There are other clubs that are not they're a little more traditional than we are. So I think if you're interested in Rotary, you have to look around and decide which club works better for you.
So in other words, the members really like to get into the community and give back to the community and get involved with the community as well as support the international efforts.
Absolutely. Yes. And we have people sitting in this room, the people you'll be talking to, who have done various things in the last 2 months with our club. And there's always something going on, and it's wonderful.
So what was something that just happened recently in the club? Give me an example of something that happened.
Something that happened was we had a pancake breakfast in November.
And I think Jim Ramenthal, as we segue to Jim from GRA Architects, you were the chair or very much involved in that, correct, Jim?
Yes, I was. I've been a member here for about 4 years, and the pancake breakfast is something that, since I enjoy pancakes, it makes it easy for me to participate in that and share that. The last 2 years running, well, the funds, I think this is the 37th year of the pancake breakfast in the club. But the last 2 years we've been focused on giving all of the gross proceeds. Actually, it's voluntarily, your donation is voluntary. The cost was free to anyone that wanted to come. And all of the gross proceeds from that particular fundraiser went to the Little Flower Food Pantry. For the first time. So that was very encouraging. So it was a lot of fun. I think we had a great time. We added some music this year. Hopefully we'll be adding a little bit more amplification to the music next year so that it all worked out well.
It's like anything else. It's a process, but really we need to know, are they whole milk or buttermilk pancakes, Jim?
They're whatever.
Or is it secret recipe?
No secret recipe. We do put a few chocolate chips in there and maybe some blueberries, but it's a good old Aunt Jemima.
There you go. Well, Jim, thanks a lot. Again, giving back to the community, we really think that's terrific. I know the Rotary also has some awards they want to present today, so let's see what's going on in the awards department, and then we'll talk to a few more members. How's that sound?
In honor of the 100th anniversary of the Rotary Foundation, we are presenting to the library copies of 2 books that were written about Rotary, and they're the official books written by a Rotarian about Rotary. And it seems fitting that we present them to the library because a lot of people don't know about Rotary and will be able to read about it. This is the Doing Good in the World, the inspiring story of Rotary Foundation's first 100 years, which is coming up. And this is being presented to Stephanie, who is our librarian, and Laura, who is our children's librarian, to go into the Berkeley Heights Library permanently. Stephanie is our secretary, and we're very happy to have a librarian with us and to have a visiting librarian also. Thank you. This is a century of service. This is the first 100 years of Rotary. Both of these books were written by a New Jersey author, David Forward, who was also a past district governor. And this is commemorating, it's a small way to commemorate the 100 years of the Rotary Foundation and the books that will go into the library. So I thank Stephanie and Laura for taking them home and thank you, letting people know about Rotary. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Rotary was also involved with a recent drive, we'll call it, to help women who are homeless or underserved. Correct, Stephanie?
Yes, we became involved through the Rotaract Club at Kean University. The purpose is, it's Purses for Progress. It's to provide gently used purses, but we stuff them with toiletries and personal hygiene items. Everybody remembers toxic shock syndrome from maybe 20 years ago. It was a news flash. Women still get sick and still die from toxic shock because of lack of care and hygiene items. So we've been collecting, and everything will go to shelters, women's shelters around New Jersey.
Another great outreach, starting locally but going beyond Berkeley Heights. So good job from the Rotary.
Thank you.
Now, Laura, you're also a librarian over at the Berkeley Heights Library, and you frequently come as a guest. How come?
Well, I just enjoy this group so much. Stephanie brought me once as a guest, and I'm like the dog that keeps coming back. You feed me, and I think I totally appreciate the effort that you all put into working with the community, and I like participating in that too. So I've been at the Rubber Ducky manning a booth, and I've stuffed my purse for the Stephanie's project, and I do try to cooperate with everyone. I enjoyed the winter walk, and I know it's about time that I actually join. So maybe this should be my big announcement day. I've been thinking about it only for 3 years.
I can do that. We can put a little pressure on you there, Laura. I'm right behind you, so don't worry about it.
I couldn't think of a better bunch of people to spend time with and to get things done for the community. It's really worthwhile.
Enough said. I'm Dr. Donald DeFavio. Like any organization, things have to get done. Most organizations, 80% of the work gets done by 20% of the people, but guess what? Not the Rotary. The Rotary has a really active group of people that are very involved. The previous president of the Rotary has been very involved a long time, is with me, Tiffany Escott. Tiffany, you've been doing Rotary work for a while, and currently you did a new program, I think, related to a project with Sister Jacinta. Could you explain that?
This is our second year of doing it through Little Flower Church. They identify families in local communities that may need some help during the upcoming holidays. So we adopted 2 families this year. There's a family with 3 children and another family with 2 children, and we were able to purchase items, toys, clothes for them for the holidays.
Now, in the past, what other things have you participated with the Rotary? Just give us a rundown of some of the activities that the Rotary does.
How much time do you have? No. No, I've been in the Rotary for 7 years. I have been president for 2 years, co-chair for Rubber Ducky. I helped with the dictionary. I helped last year with our district conference. we do so much. We help with the cleanup day in town, which is in the fall. It's a great organization. We all are volunteers. We don't get paid, but the only way we get paid is know that we're making an impact in our community, and it's very satisfying and rewarding.
Well, that's what it is all about. And Gilma, you're also here. Now, you're a recent Rotarian to Berkeley Heights, but you've been a Rotarian for quite a while.
I have, yes. I used to live in Madison. I was very active within Madison, yes.
Now, why Rotary? Why did you get involved with Rotary? What drove you to do it?
Oh, I always like what we do for the community. And I think it's very important to stick together and develop new and always exciting things to do for the community. Yes.
Well, welcome, and we're looking forward to getting you busy here in Berkeley Heights, too. Some really good insights on what's going on with the Rotary in Berkeley Heights.
The Rotary Club of Berkeley Heights, be it known that Mayor Robert B. Woodruff is an honorary member. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a pretty interesting show, Mayor. Going on the road, we got to actually learn a lot about the Rotary, things that I didn't know about.
Well, you know, you're right, Doc. And you know what was amazing? They even raise money just sitting at the table. So they really do it. They do it well. And, you know, we talk about what makes our town so great, and it's all about volunteerism. And this is it, right? This is it on an international scale, really. But the impact of what Rotary does is certainly felt locally, particularly in light of what your discussions were individually with some of these Rotarians, I think is the right word. And it's a tremendous organization, and you know, makes me feel good. I'm sure that we chose to do this, and it was a great day.
It's great, and you know, and their tagline is "Service above self," I believe, and I believe that's also how we're judged as a society, is how we treat the others in the society who are less fortunate or have other challenges. And the Rotarians clearly walk the walk. So,
well, there's no doubt, and in the light of the Christmas season, right? I think that maybe even brings it home a little bit more. So you think about others, and it's a great thing.
Sure is. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Dr. Donald DeFabio for the Mayor's Roundtable on location with Mayor Robert Woodruff. Have a great holiday season.